Hello there everyone, good morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about the humble rectangle, and it's what we're going to be using on the first page of our second signature. It's also used here on this page, right, where I've got three individual little rectangles to form pockets. So just to show you, look, do the pocket, right, and that one's a pocket, and that one's a pocket, and this one's a pocket. All right, let me put my bit of paper back in. Where have you gone? There. In there, in case I want to show you again. All right, it's a rectangle. It could be a square, it could be a heart shape, it could be a circle, but we'll come to that in a bit. But we're going to talk first of all about the humble rectangle. All right, this particular one I have embossed, and I've attached a lace insert onto it as well, and then cut the card away to follow the shape of the insert to give it a little bit of a nice shape to the top of it. But it could just be a rectangle. You can add lace to it as well, just across the top as a trim. So what can you use as a pocket? Well, I am sure that we have all got bags and boxes like this with all our leftover bits and pieces in, and oh look, I can make a pocket out of that. Oh look, I can make a pocket out of that. What you need to do is measure your page. Measure the page width. Decide how big you want your pocket to be, and cut your paper accordingly. Alright. What you could also use though is a postcard. Right? You could use a photograph, use a postcard. You could use an index card. You could use an envelope. You could use a paper bag. You can use a glassine bag. Lots of things make pockets. Now with the envelope, what I would actually do is I would stick this part down first. Stick the flap down. And then just trim across the top. So trim across the top, doesn't matter which side really. And then you have a pocket there. Now if you attach it on the one, two, three sides on the back, you've then got a pocket behind the envelope, and you've got the pocket where the envelope is, and you stick that on your page. With the bag, you could just trim that down to size, and you've got the opening at the top. If you stick it down on the three sides again, you've then got the pocket on the back. Do the same with the glassine bag, but as I say, you can trim this bit down to make it whatever depth you want your pocket to be. You could cut the triangles, the corners off your bags. So let's just find the halfway point here, and cut across there. And I've got a little triangle pocket. I think the thing is with, one other thing, you could die cut a shape out as well and use that as a pocket. Alright, again, glue on the three sides. I think the thing is with the humble pocket is that the humble rectangular pocket is that it has an awful lot of different things that you can do to it to make it look amazing. So you start off with the basic rectangle, but it's what you then do to it after that that makes it exceptional. Now one of the things that you could do is emboss it, and that's using one of these embossing folders, and I have to write my name on so that I know that that's me, because sometimes I forget. when you open this up, it has the same design on both sides, but one is depressed in that the pattern is indented into the plastic, and on this side exactly the same pattern is raised from the plastic. So when you sit the two together, they sit inside of each other. All right, one forms an embossed side which is raised, and one forms a de-embossed side which is the depressed pattern. All right, so what you could do is run a piece of card, and I would suggest a thin card or a thicker card rather than paper, because basically what you're doing is you're stretching the paper to form the pattern, and so it could easily tear if you've done it on a thin paper. Now what I did in my journal that I just showed you was I then inked this up. The original one, the one I just showed you, I did on a craft card, so it was already brown because it was then in keeping with the rest of the journal. This one I've done on cream card, so can you see the embossed? And if I turn it over, can you see how it's debossed? So it's indented, and this side is raised. You see the raised bit there, and if I turn it over, you see it's indented there. Alright, so you could just ink up the embossing, and again we can do some shading. So in fact, yeah, let's do that. So if I do pink and just run my dabba-doobry whatsits around the outside, round the outside, round the outside. It's another joke that we've got at one of my classes. And now every time we say it, we burst into song. Because we're weird like that. Okay, and what it's done is it's made the embossed area more defined. Right? And then I'm going to put the paler colour, or the different colour, on the middle bit. And extend it into the pink area as well, so then the two colours will blend together. Okay, so now you can see the raised area a lot better. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to actually run ink all over one side of your embossing folder. Alright, and then you put your piece of card inside, run it through your mini mangle, your big shot cuttlebug. It's not really called a mini mangle, but it's like a mini mangle. So you've placed ink all on one side, and when you run that through, it presses the ink onto the paper at the same time as embossing it. You could then try putting ink on the opposite side. Don't forget to clean this side first with your baby wipe. Put ink on this side, put your piece of card in, run it through your mini mangle, and it will print the image again. So here's two I did earlier. Lost one. Where's it gone? Oh, it's there. Right, so this was the one where it was debossed, which means it's indented, right? And so it forms an indent, but on this bit, it's the bit that's raised, right? So the bit that's sticking up, if you place ink on there, it will place ink on the pattern. And so when you emboss it, it then prints inside that's debossed, that's indented, and it puts the ink in there. Right, so I don't know if you can see it quite so easily on a debossed bit, but you'll see it better on this one. So if we put ink on this side where the pattern is indented into the plastic, you actually put it over the surface and it doesn't print the pattern, it prints the background. Right, so again, if I tilt it slightly, you might not be able to see it again so well, but the pattern is raised and the background is all printed with your ink, and then that saves you doing that on your card. All right, so those are the three sort of different effects that you can create with embossing or an embossing folder. So as we've said, you do the humble rectangle and you place glue along three sides, leaving one open to form the pocket. Options. Let me trim this one down. In fact, I'll do it with my paper trimmer rather than with my scissors. So I'm going to fold it over. So you could use a greetings card again, because then it's already got the fold in it. I'm just going to trim this down. So now, if I place glue on the three sides at the back and leave the folded edge at the top, put some lace across the bottom, and then no one would know that you could actually lift that up and write on that bit, even though it's a pocket. By the same token, if I decorated the front of this bit up, again, same thing, place glue on the three sides, leave the folded edge across the top for the pocket, and then that flips up, but then it also flips down. So now you've got a double writing space, almost triple, I suppose. Yeah. To be able to make another pocket. Right, so the one with the little three pockets on is just basically three little rectangles cut out. And then what I did then was I used the images from the magazine, but again you can use the images from your digital kit, and cut them out to the size slightly smaller, maybe to give it a little bit of a frame, and attach it to the front of what will become your pocket, whether it be a flat pocket or a flat pocket. Now the other sort of pocket, because they're flat, you can only get a limited amount of things within them because they're flat. Just trying to find a rectangular bit of card I can use that's big enough. No, might have to get a fresh piece. No, nothing in there. Yeah, let's use that. So I'm going to trim this down to a rectangle. Now, as I've said, if you measure the size of your page and decide what depth you want it, so you want to know the width and you want to know the depth. For this one, you're going to add a 1/2 inch on each side. So let's say I wanted to make a 5-inch wide pocket, then I would need to cut it 1/2 inch on this side, then 5 inches, and then 1/2 inch on that side. So then that would make it 6 inches. 5 and 1/2 and 1/2 make 6. And I want to get rid of my dabber. And then I want a 3 inch. Yeah, so I want a 3 inch deep pocket. So I've got to add 1/2 inch on this one. Right, because then I'm going to do 1/2 inch on this side. So this is a 6 inch wide rectangle, but I want to make a 5-inch wide pocket. So if I do 1/2 inch on this side and 1/2 inch on this side, that then becomes 5 inches. Where am I in shot? So it's a 6-inch wide rectangle, 1/2 inch on this side, 1/2 inch on this side. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do 1/2 inch. Now you could do it from this side. I prefer to do it from this, just because it's easier. So this is 3.5 inches, and I'm going to score it at 3, because then that gives me the 1/2 inch at the bottom. Right, so as you can see, look, I've got a 1/2 inch here, a 1/2 inch here, and a 1/2 inch here. That's quite hard to say that 3 times. A 1/2 inch here, a 1/2 inch here, and a 1/2 inch here. Couldn't say that fast. And then the top bit we're not doing any on, because that's going to be the top of the pocket, the entry to the pocket. And then we're going to cut out that little square there at the bottom. And we're going to do the same on that side. That little square there at the bottom. I'm going to cut it out. And that's what you end up with. Now, if I taper the corners, which means cut a thin slither off to form a triangle. Can you see? Look, I've got a little triangle there that I'm just cutting off. Yeah, it's called tapering. And we're going to do that on each of those areas that we're going to fold in. And the reason why we do it is it just makes it neater and stops those little bits from sticking out and looking all awkward. So then you end up with that. I'm going to fold it in and crease it. So now what order do we need to put those together? So you could put the bottom up and then the 2 sides, but what happens is that when you go to insert something in your pocket, it can catch on this bottom bit, on this bit here. Right, so if we fold in the 2 sides first and then the bottom bit, there is nothing for it then to catch on when you're inserting something inside your pocket. All right, and so where's my PVA? So because these overlap here, I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue down there. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. I would need to just hold that for a little while for that glue to set off. Right. At this point, whilst I'm waiting for the glue to set off, yes, my nails have grown. Thank you very much, Amanda. I think it was you, Amanda, that put it. The joys of not washing up and eating off paper plates, I guess. And to the lady also who reminded me that it was Crafty Irene who did the tape on the back of the serviettes to take the, or napkins, paper napkins, to pull the backing off. I still couldn't remember. It wasn't until I went to bed last night and I went, oh, Crafty Irene. And then, of course, I saw your message when I got up this morning. So thank you for that. And Amanda, by the time the end of this challenge is over, my nails will be this long. All right. So you can see that because this is already sticking up, it means that it's created more space for you to put more things in your pockets. So instead of just being a plain rectangle, you've now got a rectangle with sides that when you stick it to the page, you've got a little bit more space to add more things to your pocket. But obviously if you're going to use this sort of extended pocket, you need to add those extra measurements, that extra 1/2 inch on each side widthways and the extra 1/2 inch along the bottom. And then you place glue around here, here and here to be able to stick it to your page. And that's it. So from the humble rectangle, we've got some pockets. Of course, with your digital kit, your magazine, you can just cut out your images, stick them on, put some lace on, put some other bits and pieces on, put some buttons on. So you start off with something that's fairly plain, but it's then the decorating part of it that makes it something extra special. And that's where you have to allow your imagination to come into play, to take it from something that's flat and simple to something that's exciting and really lovely to look at. I'm off for a brew. I need a brew. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.